Thanks for joining today. We got some Prevost stuff. I've got some air valves to go over, so I hope you guys enjoy. Come along with me. What we're gonna do first is we're gonna show you this beautiful bus that's behind me. And I'm gonna show you guys how to fix one of the most common problems on a Prevost bus. So come along, I'll show you what we got going on and update on some of the other stuff. We've got a couple cool videos coming out. We had a video on engine air compressor pumping coolant into the air system. If you haven't seen that video, we'll put a link in the description for that one. That one was pretty cool. The customers finally cleared that job. They had just bought the bus, so they were kind of arguing back and forth with the people they bought it from. Turns out that it looks like it's gonna be something they're gonna pay. But anyway, when we get that compressor out, what we'll do is we'll put it on the workbench, we'll tear into it, and we'll see what failed on it. I'm kind of interested to see what fails on it. I'm very curious. I'm excited to see, honestly. This Prevost that's behind me has probably got one of the most beautiful paint jobs I've ever seen on a Prevost so far. It's definitely one of my favorite. I had it in the shop the other day and it just beamed. Everybody that came in said it was so beautiful. Yeah, it really doesn't do it justice on the camera. They did a magnificent job on this. It's an XL. It's got the slides in it. As you could tell, if you look very carefully, you can see that there's no rivets on it, which means that's a bonded coach. Like I said, very, very, very pretty bus. So what we're doing to this is we're doing some suspension work, some airbag work. That's one of the things that we're gonna go over today. I'm gonna show you guys here in a second. All right, so one of the most common things that we do on these Prevosts is these sway bar links. Let's see if I can get some good light on that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna zoom in on this thing. So if you look at this bushing, it's split and it's cracking. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these sway bar links off and we're gonna get them changed, and I'm gonna show you guys how to change them. They're not too bad to change. It's something super easy. It's something that everybody can do if you can get under them. If you know how to jack these things up properly and get under them, or you got means to lift them up or whatever it is, it's something that's super easy. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it. So stick with me. I'm gonna grab some tools. It's just two 30mm nuts and maybe a pry bar, maybe a hammer to tap it off. It just depends on how rusty it is, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right, let me get set up. I'll be right back with you. All right. So first things first, we're gonna shoot a little bit of coil on the thread. Never hurt anything. And we're gonna see if we can get our gun in here. The little impact stubby usually does a pretty good job for these to take them right off. It's a pretty neat little gun. Because this one's so close to the rear differential, most of the time you can't get this one off without using a wrench. So let me try to not knock you guys off. And of course they're lock nuts. So let's see if I can get some of the way off with a ratchet. Normally I would do that a little straighter, but that's the best way I could get on there with you guys sitting there watching me. All right, so now we've got both nuts off. I like to just take a hammer, kind of tap on it. There it goes. Fell off. Let's see. All right. So We got it all. So now we'll come out to the workbench and we're gonna change these bushings. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold it in the vise. We just need to get the bottom of it in. All right, so now what I like to do is take a screwdriver and kind of pry it in there, push it in like this, and then I'll pry up and we'll break the bushing. And what that will do is you can rip it in half, and then now you can knock it out just like that. And as y'all can see, under tension that bushing was split. Let's look at the other side. You can see the bushing itself was no longer round. As you can see, it's kind of egg-shaped. And then on this side, this is the other one that's kind of split. And you can see it's no longer round anymore. And it was pretty kind of cracked up. So it's one of the most common things to do. You could just see them kind of flexing and moving in there. It's super easy. These bushings don't cost that much. So let's tighten it up a little bit more. Like I said, kind of get it in there. Once you pry up, they're so old they just tear and then they just break right off. Just like that. And then you could just push them right out. And then what you want to do is you'll see some rust and some pitting in there. I like to clean them up. Oh my God, I never pressed record. So what I like to use is use one of these die grinders with this wire brush on it, because you don't have to use this. You can use one on the end of a drill. You can clean it up with just regular Scotch-Brite paper or something like that. You just want to get all the burrs out of it. But I like this because it'll work out like a hone. When you kind of move RPMs, it opens up. See that? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick it in, and we're gonna, and as you can see, it cleans them up pretty good. So you can see that's all cleaned up. And if you look at this bushing, so not only were the bushings cracked up and dry rotted and a little split, but if you look at this bushing, you see how it's no longer round? It's wore out right there. Okay, so that's one of the reasons this bushing needed to be replaced. Not only that, but it was very hard and dry rotted. That's the reason I'm able to break them off. So we're gonna go get 2 new bushings. So here's the new bushings, and this is an all-in-one bushing. I personally like the all-in-one bushings better than the 2-piece bushings. And the reason is the 2-piece bushings, you can over tighten them. They don't sit in there very well sometimes. If you get the red nylon bushings, they do last longer, but they do wear out in this circle faster, because the nylon is quite soft and it'll wear out. And not only that, but you're actually supposed to lubricate those bushings periodically. And if you don't, they will squeak, where these rubber bushings won't. People in the comments will say all you need to do is lubricate the bushings, they'll be fine. We've put those on our coaches and lasted 1,000,000 miles. Well, this bus is like a 2000, I don't even remember what year it is. It's like a 2001 or something like that, 2002. And I bet you these bushings are original. So it's really not bad for the amount of years they got before they had to replace them. So putting these $3 rubber bushings on instead of those $9.99 bushings, you're gonna get good life out of these rubber bushings. And they're quiet, they're cheap, and like I said, this is a fairly easy job, so changing these bushings aren't a big deal at all. And then another statement is they'll say all you need to do is grease them, lubricate them, they won't squeak, they'll last forever. The one thing I know about bus people is they never grease their buses. I would say a good 75% of bus owners never grease their bus. And that's where most of the maintenance comes in. So you've got two ways to press these bushings in. There's two ways to do it. You can put silicone spray on the bushing. Silicone spray. There you go. Silicone spray. You can take it and spray the inside. And let me turn this fan off. I'm sorry, I'm used to it. If the fan's been noisy, I apologize. But, and then I'll spray a little bit on the bushing. And then what I like to do is take them, and it may take you a couple tries, but put them in the vise. Depends on how old the bushing is and, you know, if they've been sitting on the shelf or whatever. But these are new bushings straight from Prevost. So I like to kind of press it in like this, and you got to hold with one hand. And you see it'll go in just like that. So now it's in. Good. The other method that I use is this. Every year, I like to do this for windshields and other things. So every year for Christmas, there's somebody or multiple people that know my wife that give her Christmas gifts. And usually somebody goes by Bath and Body Works and buys a bunch of these lotions or whatnot like that. And some of them my wife likes, some of them she doesn't. And so today's flavor that we'll use is 1,000 Wishes. And so if you lubricate the bushing with 1,000 Wishes, so here's this. So what you'll do, you'll put some on the bushing. Put some on the bushing. You have to be careful with this method though, because if you sneak into your wife's cabinet and steal her Bath and Body Works, she may notice. That's one thing. But the second thing is, if you come home smelling like Bath and Body Works 1,000 Wishes, your wife might not be happy with you because she doesn't know what you're doing on your free time. So you lubricate the bushing, and this is not a petroleum product, so it will not hurt or degrade the rubber whatsoever. So you have this one. So the same thing. I'll stick it in there. Like I said, it may take you a couple times, but it will try and twist one way or the other, but you're just gonna hold on to it. But if you notice, see how much easier that bushing went in than the silicone spray? And then see how it's almost in, and then you just give it a good pop, and it's in. That's it. The Bath and Body Works works wonders. Now, if you're scared about going home and smelling like 1,000 Wishes and you might get in trouble, you could always use this one, which is not a sponsor. This is Mobile One Man Lotion. So, not a sponsor. So now you got your bushings changed. It's all ready to go back on. All you have to do is stick it back on the studs. Maybe put some 1,000 Wishes on the inside of this so it slides right on. Or silicone spray, it doesn't matter. Or Dawn and water will work too. Slide it right back on. Put the washers on and torque it to spec. So you just basically put it on the exact opposite of the way I took it off. So the next thing I want to go over is some check valves. And this is a pretty common thing that we see, or at least I see. I actually had to fix it twice last month. So I want everybody to take a guess. Which one of these is a filter? So I'll give you a second. It'll trick you. All right, well, the true answer is none of them. This is a filter. And if you notice, it looks very similar. And you're like, Brandon, what do you mean it's a filter? Well, this happens a lot. They'll pull it off, they'll look at it, and they'll say, oh, that's a check valve. So they'll go to a truck store, or they'll go to the parts store, and they'll hand it to them, and the guy won't look at the numbers. The person working on the bus has no idea that they use filters. And then what they do is they just hand them this check valve right here. And they say, boom, there you go. And then he installs a check valve in place of a filter. It's the easiest way to know if you have a check valve or a filter is to open it up. And I'll show you here in a second. But this is a filter. And you're like, well, that's easy to see. Look how much bigger it is than the others. Well, look at this one. This is a check valve. The filter inside looks like this. Okay. So back in the day, they used to have like a sock filter. It looked like a ball of yarn, basically. And they stopped using those and they went to these filters right here. And these will plug up with oil and debris and carbon and keep the air system from airing up. And people will say, well, the check valve's failed. Well, it's not a check valve, it's a filter. So it's supposed to have air flowing constantly. So if you take a check valve and put it in place, a one-way valve, then something's not getting air, or it's not getting constant air. And that's bad. Let's open it up and I'll show you the difference. Let's do this one first. So we're gonna put this one in the vise. Easiest way. If the valve is bad, you're gonna replace it anyway. It's not gonna hurt you to just crack it open and look inside. And it's the easiest way to tell which one you have. If you don't know how the system is set up, it's the easiest way to know which one you have. Just open them up, unscrew them. And this one is a filter. You see that? It's got a spring in it. It's got a filter on it. There's a little O-ring in there. And if this is stopped up, you necessarily might not have to change it. You could just pull this apart. There's a little O-ring right here. You see this little O-ring? You can replace that O-ring. See that little O-ring right there? You can replace the O-ring and you can clean this filter with brake cleaner, and then you can clean the inside of it. You can see all the crud that, I mean, it does its job. I don't know if y'all can see it, but let me see. You see all the crud that has come out of it? So then all you do is stick it back together and tighten it up. After you clean it, say it didn't cost you anything. Now you can put it back on. It actually tells you that every 5 years or 50,000 miles, you're supposed to pull them apart and replace them or clean them. But most people don't even know they're in there. So there's that one. That's a filter. Now let's take apart a check valve. I don't want to take that other Halidex check valve apart because it's there's nothing wrong with it. So let's crack this one open. Check valves are not meant to be taken apart and serviced. So you see the red Loctite coming out? They are not meant to be taken apart. You're not supposed to service them. And so do you see the difference? Here is the check valve piece. There's a little ball inside there. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if I can pop it out. This one's bad. It was stuck, so let me grab another screwdriver. Nope, she's stuck. She's super stuck. But anyway, you can see the difference. See the collar in there? You can see where that ball is in there seated up against the seal. You can look inside and see that ball. Sometimes you can't see that. So if you look inside of this one, if you look inside of this one, you can't really tell. But anyway, splitting them open is the easiest way to tell which one they are. So don't make that mistake and then cause yourself more problems because of that. It's an easy thing to do and it's an honest mistake. But I mean, the other way to kind of verify it is to look at the number. So there's the Bendix number. And if you look, see this number right here, but then also there's that 500 number. I don't know if y'all can see that. Probably hard to see. Nope, I can't get it. Let's see if I can get it on this camera. All right. There it is, that 500 number. It's hard to see because it's so bright in here. I know that might have been a little boring, but it's true. So I figure I will let you guys know on it. All right, for the last thing. So we got this Liberty coach out here. It's a great looking bus also. Love these old Prevosts. I love working on the old Prevost motorhomes and things like that. All right, so let's go over this spindle. You see this spindle? Ignore the surface rust, it just rained. It's not a big deal because we're gonna be changing this spindle. So what had happened is this. The customer, before he bought the bus, there was a leak in wheel seal. And mind you, he didn't even bring this in for me to look at this wheel. He was bringing it in for a service, and I happened to walk by and notice that the cap was melted on it. So what had happened is this right here, there's something wrong with this spindle. I don't know what it is or why they took it in to have it repaired or whatever the problem was that the previous owner had. I have no idea and I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is this spindle is the incorrect spindle that's supposed to be on this bus. It's wrong. The customer told me, he said, yeah, the bus was down when I bought it because we had people working on it. He said they had to machine a part in order to fix the bus. And I said, machine a part? And they said, yes. So when we got it, we opened up the cap and looked inside. The cap was full of water, maybe a little bit of oil in it. It was very thin. It was almost like motor oil. And they had machined this spacer to sit behind the bearing. You can see the imprint where this spacer had gone. And that's how they were holding the hub on there. So they put this spacer on, they put the bearing in, put the spacer on, and then you would put this nut on, and then look how bad this, where they had etched out the nut. They grinded, like you can physically see where somebody has grinded that nut. It's crazy. And then they stuck this on, well, this goes this way. And they stuck this on. And then this washer goes on, and you're supposed to bend the tab over, which the tab was not bent over. And then you have a nut that goes on top. The nut's in here somewhere. You have a nut that goes on top. So whoever decided to make this spacer, instead of putting the correct spindle on or ordering it, they made something work. If you have to make something work to put a hub on, you're not doing it right. Because from the factory, it has everything that it needs to put the hub on. And so look at the damage that this has caused. One, the hub wasn't even tight. I could jerk it back and forth because look at the bearings. Do you see the bearings? These bearings are absolutely terrible. Not only that, but look at the hub. This is the inside of the hub where the race has spun so much in the hub, it has almost welded itself to the hub. Look how bad this hub is gouged out where the race goes. Absolutely terrible. This is a lot of money. A big mistake, a lot of money. So now you need a hub. You got to have a new spindle. You got to order these new nuts and, you know, spacers and all that stuff. We got to press that spindle in, which is not an easy job at all. I don't know what they did to put that spindle in because it looks like it's been welded in. That's a press fit hub. You're not supposed to have to beat it in, weld it in, nothing like that. Basically, you have to cool it down and slide it in, and then when it heats up, it's in there forever. So if you have to do any of this to make a hub go on, you're not doing it right. Stop what you're doing. Read the book. Take it somewhere else. If a mechanic calls you up and says, hey, the factory spindle's messed up, we have to make something to go over it. No. Unless it's not available anymore. Prevost or somebody can't get the parts anymore, and you have to have axle surgeons or somebody come out and make a spindle. That's one thing. But to make a washer to put the hub on, for whatever reason, is incorrect. It's wrong. Don't do that. It's, you know, just fix it the way it's supposed to be. But anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Like I said earlier, we got a bunch of cool videos coming out. We've got that compressor video that DL that we did a will it start on. We're going to run it across the pit and do a DOT inspection on it, so I'll know if I'm going to part it out, if I'm going to sell it, or if I'm going to fix it and then sell it. I want to look underneath to make sure if it's as good as it seems to be. So stay with us. Oh, one more thing. I get a lot of people asking me about my Caterpillar equipment. I mainly focus on bus stuff on this channel, but if you guys really want a video on that equipment, I've had a couple people ask me, I will make a video on it and just kind of do like a review or walk around on that Caterpillar equipment. So just let me know in the comments. I appreciate it, guys. I'll see you guys later.